All right, good afternoon, everyone. I am LaToya Smith, Miss LT, Sister LT, Elder LT, Coach LT. I am the founder and CEO of Speak Life to Youth and Children for Slick International. And today is our Cooking Basics 101 class, so I want to welcome you. This is a very exciting event for me because the young man that's going to be presenting and who is Chef JB, I've known him since he was in elementary school. I date myself, so I can't even say the year. So he was a young type, and he has grown to be a very handsome, distinguished young man, a chef in New York. He loves to cook. I think he got that from his mom, who also loves to cook. And so nice all-around young guy. We kind of was a part of the same ministry years ago in Tallahassee. And he's been featured on The View, not The View, The Chew.
Chew, yes.
Chew is one of the contestants back in 2018, and he describes his style as creative comfort food. So before he comes, I want to announce that in the middle of the session, I will announce about the winner of the cooking class that he is actually doing on tomorrow evening at 6 o'clock. So those persons who are eligible to win are, of course, students of SLIC, those persons who participate on this call, and those persons who have subscribed to our YouTube channel. And our website is www.slycinternational.com. And if you would like to donate to the cause and continue this type programming, please do so through our website or Cash App at $SPEAK, capital SPEAK, the number 4, capital SLYC, Speak for Slick. And without further ado, I'm introducing Chef JB, also known as Jabari Butler, and it's in your hands.
Awesome. Welcome. Happy Saturday, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Sister LT, Coach LT, all the LTs.
All the LTs.
For having me today. We are making Cajun chicken and garlic pita chips. The first thing I want everyone to do is preheat their ovens to 375. If you are going for the vegan option, you will be doing chickpeas instead. Canned chickpeas are fine. You can drain those and kind of take off the little film that's on the outside of the chickpeas while we do what we're doing to prep our chicken. So the first thing you're gonna do is prep the garlic pita chips. So I'm gonna take the pita and I'm gonna cut it similar to the way I would a pizza. Give me 1 second, guys.
I expect this dish when I come visit y'all.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go, and this is 2 that I'm using, but I'm just gonna go in half, turn, and then you should have like 8 slices per, but just into little triangles like this. And then my medium bowl, right? everybody should already have prepared your Cajun seasoning blend, and you should have zested 1 lemon. I can just really quickly, I'm going to pull up the study guide just in case you guys need a refresher really quick. Not a problem. Where are we? We are here with the study guide. All right, I'm going to share my screen for just a second. Oh wait, can I do that? I don't
You
know.
should be able to.
Oh, I can't yet. There we go.
Okay.
All right. All right. Cool. So
Perfect.
this is the Cajun seasoning blend that you should have already prepared. If you have not, that's okay. You can do so now. But that blend is what we're going to use to season the chicken or the chickpeas. So I'm going to leave that up there so you can kind of pick up if you haven't already. And I'm going to continue to cut my pita into these triangles. And once they're all cut, I'm going to do a little bit of my grapeseed oil with some garlic powder and some kosher salt. And once I oil and season those that pita, I'm gonna lay it out on my baking sheet and make sure that they are not overlapping at all. Make sure that I have enough oil on them so they cook evenly and well. You guys should still be able to see my hand in addition. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna keep going here. I'm gonna give you another minute or so if you haven't to prepare that Cajun seasoning blend. And this grapeseed oil, probably drizzle 10 tablespoons or so on this. And then again, I'm doing garlic powder and kosher salt to season my pita chips.
That looks good.
All right, so when I do this, after I season and put that oil on, I want to massage that oil into these pita chips to make sure that all of them have a little bit of oil on. If it's feeling kind of dry, you can add just a drizzle more. They shouldn't be drenched in the oil, but every piece of pita should have a little bit of oil on it and a little bit of seasoning on it, so none of it is bland. I'm gonna do just a little bit more salt and a little bit more garlic. I think the measurements are right here. So for the pita, about, again, 2 or so tablespoons of the grapeseed oil. This is where we're looking. 1.5 teaspoons of garlic powder and about 1/2 teaspoon of salt. So I like to, I'm gonna stop sharing for now. I like to line my baking sheet with aluminum foil because it makes for easier cleanup. If you have parchment paper, that works as well. I line my baking sheet. No additional oil is necessary because I have already oiled my pita chips. So again, enough so that they all have the space to breathe and cook, but you want to try to fill up your pan as well as you can. They shouldn't be laying on top of each other like this. If you do that, then they're not going to cook evenly. Whenever you're cooking, both in a pan on a sheet tray like this, or even if you're in a saute pan, you want to make sure that you don't crowd the pan. Crowding the pan, it doesn't allow for things to cook evenly. So if I'm cooking shrimp and I'm sauteing up some shrimp, I don't want the shrimp to, be making a whole mountain in my saute pan. I want enough to cover the bottom, but also enough space in between so they can breathe. So I have quite a bit of pita here.
So who's going to help you eat this meal with you?
Right, I have a roommate, and this has been a very busy week for me. This is my 4th class of 5 classes that I'm teaching this week. I have another one tomorrow. And yesterday, she was like, "Oh, what we got today?"
Okay.
So this recipe is actually one of her favorites. So when I told her I was making this, she was like, "Oh, great. Can't wait till Saturday." So I'm going to, my oven is not quite preheated yet. I still have a little bit of time, and I have another sheet tray. So I'm going to use the rest of these and just lay out an additional one. Oh, my oven just went off. That means it's ready. That's a great sign. Hopefully yours is already preheated, guys, to 375. If you have not done that, please do so now. You want your oven on 375 to bake these pita chips and to cook our chicken. In addition to these sheet trays, we want to make sure we have an oven-safe saute pan. If you just look at the bottom of your pan, whatever it is, there's usually like the brand. It might be on the handle or what have you. Just Google really quick. If your pan is an oven-safe pan, we're going in at 375. So if your pan can withstand 375, then you're good to go. The reason why we're doing that is because when we cook our chicken, we're going to sear it on the stove first. Searing is a cooking method where you create a crust and color on the outside of whatever it is you're cooking. Today we're cooking chicken. So I'm going to create a good crust and color on the outside of that chicken. I'm going to sear it one side for a few minutes, the other side for a few minutes, and then go directly into the oven, still in the pan. And the reason why we're doing that is because if we take it out of the pan, put it on another tray, and then put it in the oven, then we've lost all of that heat that we've created in this first pan. So we want to carry that heat with us to continue the cooking process, not take it out of here to slow down the cooking process. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. So would you could someone
you're using an oven-safe saute pan if you're doing chicken?
Could someone use a cast iron skillet to do it?
Cast iron skillet is a perfect oven-safe pan.
Okay.
Just lining these up again so they have enough room to breathe and will cook evenly. As soon as you have your pita lined up and your oven has been preheated to 375, you can go in the oven and set a timer for 8 minutes. At 8 minutes, I want you to go in and check the doneness of them and then flip them over if you can. Maybe turn your pan so they can cook evenly, so they can get a nice good golden brown on both sides. Not enough so that they're too hard, but you don't want to toast them for too long, but you do want them to have a little crunch because they're chips, right? So I'm going in the oven. I'm going an 8-minute timer. Timers are your best friend, I promise. Don't forget to set your timer. I'm gonna have a little sip of water from my slick international water bottle. Next is our chicken. So I say get a plate and your list of equipment because I like plates for seasoning meats. It allows me to get a nice surface area on both sides and season my meat generously. So when you're dealing with chicken, please, okay guys, I know specifically a lot of Black folks, a lot of Southern folks tend to wash their chicken. Do not wash your chicken. Do not wash your chicken. I know it sounds crazy, but do not wash your chicken. Chicken has a lot of bacteria on it when it's raw. And when you wash your chicken, you are spreading germs everywhere. And the germs on chicken, when you do wash it, can spread up to 3 feet. And it's bacteria that you can't see. So you could be in the chicken down deep, you know, rinsing it with your vinegar and your lemon and whatever you do, but you are spreading the salmonella literally across your sink, across your stove, across the blinds, whatever else, and you don't realize it. Chicken is no longer unsafe as long as you cook it all the way through. All of the bacteria that's within chicken gets cooked out as long as you cook it to 165 internal temperature. So there are different internal temperatures that you look for with different proteins to make sure that your chicken is cooked all the way through. It should be at 165. You don't cook chicken medium rare the way you do a steak. You cook it all the way through. And once you've done that, the bacteria is gone. There is absolutely no need to wash your chicken. So you go directly from the packaging and of course, still be safe and be careful with it. Hold on one second. Smell my pita chips toasting. Cook fast. You should be on the middle rack for your pita chips. Make sure you're not too low because they might burn if they're too close to the heat source. So make sure you're at the middle rack. So with your chicken, of course, be safe. You want to make sure that you deal with your chicken and wash your hands, deal with whatever, plate or bowl or what have you that is for your chicken separately from everything else, so that there's no cross-contamination. But the way that you make sure that there isn't spreading of that is don't rinse your chicken. So that's my spiel on that. I'm using one hand to handle it and another hand to season it. Just want to show you guys how you can still be careful and sanitary with this. So this is my hand to touch the chicken, and this is my hand to make sure I'm seasoning this generously.
Or your seasoning. I heard about do not wash your chicken, and I never understood why. And we grew up washing the chicken, vinegar a little. So that makes sense what you just said.
And it's a common misconception, and it's something that a lot of people don't know, and don't know why, more than anything. So, and some people aren't listening, they're like, oh, I hear it, I know it, but I just feel like my chicken is cleaner because I done, put it in water or whatever, but it's not. You're spreading bacteria. So, and that's just a fact. So don't rinse your chicken, folks. Just don't do it. So my chicken is here, seasoned, good to go. I'm gonna set it aside for my sear, which is happening very shortly. I'm gonna wash my hands immediately after dealing with the chicken.
Tanya, did he say not to wash your chicken?
I did not to wash the chicken, and I gave a whole spiel about why you should not wash chicken. Don't wash chicken because in doing so, you are spreading the bacteria that's on the chicken throughout your kitchen. It's bacteria that you can't see. So when you're rinsing the chicken and all of the salmonella that's on the chicken is jumping across to your fridge, across your stove, and your sink, on your clothes, and you can't see it, you don't know it. The chicken is safe after you've cooked it all the way through. So as long as you cook your chicken on, high enough heat and you cook it until it's done, it's safe. When you start dealing with it too much, touching it too much, rinsing it too much, that's when, we have issues. So make sure that you, of course, are safe when dealing with it. Handle your chicken, wash your hands, and make sure that you cook it all the way through and there are no problems.
I'm sorry, I have to say something about not washing the chicken.
I know it.
I don't remember a time where washing chicken caused people to get sick because it jumped all over the counter and everything. I'm just thinking about my grandmother, mother.
With the penalty.
I understand, and I hear what you're saying.
Mama,
But what I'm telling you
Okay,
is,
wait a minute. Yes, one person
what
at a
I'm
time.
telling you is, as a professional and as somebody who has studied this,
Yeah,
you
but
don't need to be washing your chicken. If your chicken is cooked all the way through, then you're good. But otherwise, you're just spreading bacteria. And it's bacteria that you can't see. So the only way you'll be able to really test this is if you want to go through the procedures of like getting a black light and stuff like that. But I promise you, you are spreading bacteria by rinsing your chicken. So it's not what a lot of people are used to. A lot of people haven't been told it. I know it makes people uncomfortable, but it's the truth, and it would be the same thing. It's worse with chicken because salmonella is something that is specific to chicken. It's not on beef, it's not on fish, etc. But whenever there is bacteria on that raw meat when it comes, and it will spread if that kind of bacteria doesn't go away when you rinse it. And if you're doing it with warm water, you're starting the cooking process on your chicken.
That's right.
Yeah.
And he is
I'm
right.
dropping knowledge. I promise I am. It's up to
Hold
you.
on. We have
I'm not making this up.
He's not making it up. Oh, he's right. He's not making it up. Being a nutritionist, I have to take Thursday class every 5 years. So that is true. You cannot see the actual salmonella on the chicken. So if you're not careful, even when you're trying to rinse it, whatever bacteria is on that chicken, if you don't wash your hands really good and wipe down your counters after you do all that chicken, then you at that point, you have started cross-contaminating everything that's in your kitchen.
I don't understand what would be the purpose of washing any of your food, because you can get it from vegetables too.
Not so much salmonella. You can make and get other stuff like what is that? I'm looking E. coli, but that comes really from from it being grown, whatever is being grown, and if the water is contaminated with human feces in it, then mostly on your vegetables, and then you're talking about also any spray that they use for pesticides. So but when you talk about salmonella, you really just basically talking about chicken and maybe some eggs, but not in terms of vegetables and stuff like that.
Fish.
No, not fish either. There are toxins in fishes that you can get if the fish is not from a reputable, somebody that that sells good seafood. You don't want to just go buy your fish from anywhere. You want to buy it from a company that's known for having a good reputation for selling certain things. A lot of times, there's toxins in fish, and it's a certain way you can cook it. And some fish just come with it already. So you really have to delve into that. I'm not really big on fish, but I know there are some toxins in fish. But I don't think we have a problem with rinsing your fish. I think when he's talking about, he's just basically really talking about chicken.
It's really chicken.
It's just really chicken when it comes to salmonella. Yeah, that's the thing.
It's only found on chicken.
That's it.
No, it's fish too, but I'm gonna go back to mute.
Okay then.
So, guys, as you see here, my timer just went off at 8 minutes for my pita chips. I'm flipping them over. You can see there's a nice golden brown on the other side. I want to try to do the same thing for this top side, so I'm flipping them. I'm going to flip them and probably put them in for about 4 more minutes. And while I do that, if you are doing chicken, I want you to go ahead and get that oven safe pan, or after you do that, I should say. I want you to go ahead and get that oven safe pan on medium high heat on your stove. Wait for it to get hot, and then we're gonna add in our grapeseed oil. Do not add oil to your pan until your pan is hot. You add oil to a cold pan, you are not cooking properly. All right. Here, so you guys. Pan is getting hot.
I would like to know the difference. What do you mean you're not cooking properly if you add the oil before the pot?
Yes, so you don't want, you're cooking with cold oil. And what it is if you put your oil in your pan while your pan is getting hot, then the oil is going from cold to hot, and then it has the potential to burn before you even put the food in. So you want to make sure that you get the pan hot first and then add the oil. Allow the oil to warm up in the pan and get hot. If you see your oil is moving around quickly in the pan, then your pan is hot. If it's not, then your pan is probably cold. But that's why you want to leave it on for a little bit so it can warm up. Add your oil in, allow the oil to get hot, and then add in whatever it is you're cooking.
Gotcha.
And that's always. The same thing goes for preheating your oven. If a recipe says preheat the oven, you want to actually preheat the oven. You don't want to turn the oven on and then put the food in immediately. You want to make sure the oven is ready and then add it. This is the same thing. We're preheating our pan, essentially.
So I've noticed that with like olive oil, that's the case for sure. And I didn't really notice it with like vegetable oil. So if I was making fries or something.
So olive oil is not the best oil for high heat cooking. High heat cooking tends to be better for vegetable oil or canola oil or this oil here that I'm using today, which is called grapeseed oil. It's my favorite because it's healthier for you, but it's still really good for high heat cooking. So avocado oil, coconut oil, those are also really good for high heat cooking, but I like grapeseed because, like I said, it's versatile. There's not a lot of, with the avocado and the coconut, one, they can be more expensive. Two, you're getting some additional flavor in there that I don't really need. This is a nice neutral oil that can be used for sauteing, it can be used for roasting, etc. But olive oil doesn't have as high of a smoke point as grapeseed oil. So the grapeseed oil is something where you can sear things that are really, really hot, you know what I mean? Versus the olive oil, which is better for like making dressings and vinaigrette, etc.
Good to know. Thanks.
Absolutely.
A question. So is that grapeseed oil good for when you also doing when you air cooking? I mean, when you're using because it doesn't burn, so it doesn't burn you. It doesn't give off a lot of smoke when it's actually, say you are doing a grill, you grilling or you cooking something in your fryer, so it doesn't give off all that smoke like the other oil would do. With
Exactly.
Okay, I'm gonna have to get some of that. Thank you.
I recommend grapeseed oil. I have another one. I think I got this one from Target. So it's becoming more popular. It's found a lot of places. I highly recommend it. One way you can test to see if your pan is hot is put a little water in it like this. Make sure your vent is on so your house doesn't start smoking and smoke detector go off like mine just did. You want to put about 2 tablespoons of oil in here. That oil moving quickly like this in that pan means it's ready. So whenever you are putting, I'm going to use my tongs to be safe. Whenever you are putting things in your pan, specifically when it's hot with the oil, you want to make sure that you place it away from you in case there is a splatter, you do not burn yourself. So once it's in the pan and there's enough oil, I see it cooking and sizzling like this, I want to leave it alone. Don't touch it and move it around, do a lot to it. I want it to do its thing for about 3 or 4 minutes. My pita chips are ready. I didn't set the second timer, but cooking is a multi-sensory experience. So in addition to knowing your timer, setting a timer, you also want to pay attention to your nose. If you're starting to smell it, it's smelling like it's a little further along, check it. It's cooking, you know what I mean? You know, it's looking at it, it's hearing it in the pan, it's smelling it as it's going. So these pita chips are looking nice and ready. So I'm gonna show you guys here, nice and golden brown on both sides. It's got a nice little crunch to it, like that. As they sit, they'll get a little harder, which is good. So what we're gonna do is let these get a nice sear on both sides, finish it in the oven. And then that plate that we were just using to season, I want you to wash it really quickly. Once the chicken comes out of the oven, we're gonna transfer the chicken from that plate, from our hot pan to the plate and put it in the freezer. The reason why we're doing that is because that's gonna shock the chicken and slow down the cooking process a little bit. We're making chicken salad, which is a cold dish. So we'll allow the chicken to cool off a little bit while we prep all of our veggies that are gonna go in the chicken salad. So I'm gonna wash that plate real quick to have it ready for my chicken comes out. Let my pita chips cool. If you have all of those seasonings still out from that Cajun seasoning blend, we don't really need them anymore, so you can kind of put them away. The salt you can keep out, but just about everything else we won't need. You should have lemon zest, the zest of 1 lemon. You should have some celery, apple, the dill. I actually have chives instead today, but dill or chives, some fresh herbs if you have, and your honey mustard. All right, I think I'm looking pretty good. Chicken. Nice. See this nice golden brown? In addition to this nice golden brown, if you put your tongs against the side of this, you should feel a bit of a press. That's exactly what we're going for. We're not burning here, and to the extent that you feel like your pan is too hot, and if you turn or you look at it and it's looking black versus brown, turn your heat down. You know, all of our stoves probably cook a little differently. You want to make sure that you're in tune with what is actually going on your stove. Recipes are helpful and important, but you have to make sure that you're paying attention to what's actually happening on your stove. Loving this golden brown, like the heat that I'm at, so I'm gonna leave this here for another like 3 minutes or so and go directly with this pan into the oven, set a timer for 12 minutes and start chopping my veggies for the rest of the chicken salad. Anybody have any questions about this or anything else food related? Am I going too fast?
Any questions?
Let me know. Is anybody's house smelling good? Is your chicken looking like mine? Are you not cooking at all? You just here to have a good time?
Guess everybody's silent.
All right.
Those pita chips look good though.
They do. I do have one question.
Yeah.
I have a question, Tanya.
Go ahead.
Can you hear?
Yeah, we did.
I want to, a lot of people like to put apples in their chicken salad. Is it I mean, don't apple goes bad after a certain time? Being with, don't they start turning brown? Is that just the case if they're just out? Do they start?
Love that question. That's actually something we're going to tend to when we cut our apples. So when you cut apples, they do turn brown. And a lot of like apples, pears. I'm trying to think of another fruit that has like a white flesh, but lighter flesh fruit does turn brown very quickly. Once the flesh hits the air, it's called oxidizing.
Right.
And that oxidizing process is why it begins to turn brown. But there's a way to combat that. So that's a little bit of why we have a lemon. I want you to zest it because I want that stronger lemon flavor. But I also want you to use some of this lemon juice and put it directly on the apple as soon as we cut it to make sure that it doesn't turn brown and that it still has that nice crisp texture, but also nice white color while, your chicken is still good. Your chicken salad is in the fridge for those few days.
Yeah. So the acidity in the apple, in the lemon makes the apple.
Okay. You can do it with lime. Lemon and lime are probably the best for it, but it's the acidity that's in it that slows.
Exactly. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Absolutely. Of course. I love that question. All right. Here we are. You see that nice golden brown on the other side? We're looking good to go. So I'm going in the oven and I'm setting the timer for 12 minutes. Oven's on 375. Turn my fan off so you guys can see better. Bring it back over here. We can start our veggies. So when you have, when cutting anything, you want to put a towel of some sort, either a wet paper towel or a dish towel, underneath your cutting board. And the reason why you do that is for stability. As you can see right now, this is moving because there's nothing under it. But once I put this paper towel underneath here, it's gonna stay in place. No accidents, love to see it. Also, when you're dealing with one cutting board for several different veggies or anything, you kind of want to deal with the things that are less potent or pungent first, and then work to the things that are more potent and are going to release a lot of color and stain on your board later. So with that being said, I'm going to start with the apple and then go to the celery, which is a little stronger, and then go to my red onion. Oops, that's not a red onion. If we do the red onion first, then that onion flavor will be on my board, and when I go to cut my apple will taste like onion. Yes, it's all going in the same bowl of chicken salad, but just kind of keep that in mind whenever you're prepping stuff. So, I'm gonna rinse off my apples real quick. I like a good amount of apple in my chicken salad. I can pull up the recipe really quick for you guys so you can see the proportions, but I like to err on the side closer to a cup of apple. So we need honey mustard, celery, red onion, apple, and dill, and then the zest of your lemon. All right, so I'm gonna stop sharing and I'm gonna start cutting. I have 9.5 minutes left on my timer. So, where we watched that. All right, cool. So, sharp knives are your best friend. I'm gonna hone my knife really quick. The sharper the knife, the cleaner the cut. If you cut yourself with a dull knife, then your cut will not be a clean one. It'll probably heal slower. flat surfaces are what you always are working toward when dealing with things that roll. So now that I had cut off this side piece, I have a flat surface and I want to work based around that flat surface. I don't want to come back here. Flat surface, and I'm cutting, as you can see, around the core of the apple. Oh, I love this angle. All right, and like I just explained, we go directly, a little close there. We go directly from cutting the apple to putting that lemon juice on it to make sure that it doesn't turn brown and oxidize, and we can keep this nice green, bright color, white flesh. Good to go. So from here, this one, I'm gonna go in half, like so. And it turns flat. And from here, turn. You wanna work with the fruit, right? So like my apple, even this apple is not the same as the other one, and it won't ever be, but you can still work to get a consistent cut from whatever piece you have by just kind of breaking it down, right? So this is a weird shape a little bit. This is not the perfect circle that the other one was, but looking at this, again, it's kind of thicker here, so I can cut this part in half a bit. Not quite half, but you know. All right, and then from here, this looks like maybe I could get 5 or 6 rows here. All right, and then the same thing. Again, I kind of want to gauge based on my first round that I did, right? That's the size I'm going for. Probably again can get about 5 or 6. And that's how you get your consistent cuts. You take what you have and you break it down based on something manageable to get nice, consistent dice. So I'm gonna do that for both of my apples with this. Go down like this. And if you wanna, this one's not as thick, so I'll just go this way. If you want to put a little bit more lemon juice on these apples, now that you've kind of broken those cell walls again and opened it up, that's completely fine. I encourage it. I don't want any seeds in mine, so my strainer real quick, like that. I'm gonna move to the second one kind of quickly, but I just want you guys to see what's going on. Directly in with my lemon. And the lemon not only stops with the oxidizing process to make sure that our apples are not turning brown, but it also brightens up the flavors a bit. Acid kind of wakes flavors up. So your lemon with the sweetness and tartness of the apple are all going to go really well together to balance out some of this heat that we're going to get from the Cajun seasoning blend. And it's going to make for a nice balanced chicken salad. I see a little brown bit here. I don't like. These look a little thick. That's okay though. Even if I recognize that after the fact, right? I can still go in here and break it down in half. still get me to the consistency that I want, or the size that I want, I should say. I've been chopping a while, so getting the consistency and size is something that really comes with more practice and is much easier when dealing with a sharp knife. Apples galore, maybe too much, but I really love apples, so it's not too much for me. This is a very forgiving dish. You can really kind of put what you see and feel and want when it comes to chicken salad. You can switch up different herbs. You can switch up different seasonings, different veggies to go in it. I've done grapes in my chicken salad for sweetness instead of apples, or in addition to apples, and love that. I put dill in this recipe, but I'm actually doing chives today instead, which are completely fine. Cutting off the bottom and tops of this celery. I'm gonna give it a rinse. I don't love celery, but it does add something nice to chicken salad. So some people might like theirs a little celery heavier than me, which is fine, but I just want to show you guys how to break this down. I cut off the top and the bottom of my celery. I'm gonna cut this in half to make it easier to deal with. I'm gonna cut this in half. I'm gonna cut this in half. Same thing to the other side. And this is maybe a little smaller than the size we did for the apples, but like I said, I don't love celery, so I don't really want to taste those big bits. So I'm going to go in half even again to give me a smaller dice. Don't rush through this, right? Just kind of take your time to make that slit as even as possible. You're working with whatever you have and breaking it down to give it consistency from there. Your celery stalk is not the same size as my celery stalk, but we can still both have small diced celery. You know what I mean?
So would you prefer to chop them yourself or use a food processor?
A food processor would probably be best. If you don't like chopping, a food processor would be best for the celery and onion. But for the apple, I would chop it by hand because I like the bigger chunks with the apple. Because you can even see here, this is the apple size, but the celery size is significantly smaller. So food processor is a fine thing to use for this small dicing of the celery and the onions. I just kind of wanted to show you all a little bit of knife work and how I get to the consistency that I do when I'm chopping things up. There's my timer for my chicken. That's why timers are your best friend, because otherwise I'd just be sitting here talking to y'all. My chicken will be burning and dry, and we don't want that. We want juicy chicken. I am going to check the temperature of my chicken because that is the way to make sure that it is done so that we are not sick. Another way to make sure that it's done is to kind of put a fork in it, and if the juices are running out clear and quickly, then it's probably ready, but if they're a little pink still or they're running out slowly, then not so much. I am not quite there yet on my chicken. I'm at like 145. So I probably need about 4 more minutes. But we don't have a lot of time left. So I might not spend too much time in the freezer. It might just be a warm chicken salad when I mix it, which is okay, but I do want to finish it off so you guys can see the finished product and how it comes together. Not a problem to mix your chicken salad while it's warm and let it cool off. But I just like to put the chicken in the freezer, like I said, because it helps to cool it off first. I'm going for about a half a cup or so of this small diced celery. Again, as LT mentioned, we can use a food processor for this small dicing process. I just wanted to show you guys how I get to a small dice using really any size celery, apple, onion, whatever. I'm doing no time. 51. All right, cool. So here's my celery. It's more than enough. Set this aside. I'm gonna do half. I'm gonna do half of this red onion. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna do both. I'm gonna cut both so you can see this technique, but I'm only using half for my recipe. So, one thing I didn't mention, but I like to use often when dealing with like scraps and stuff is like a scrap bowl. It's something that I've learned in my kitchen experience. Scrap bowls are good because one, it allows you a compact place to keep all of your scraps while you're cooking, as opposed to having to keep going back and forth to the trash can. But it also allows you to keep the scraps and use them if you want to use it for stock or for compost or something like that. They're now all in one place. Scraps freeze very well. You can keep them in a Ziploc bag or a plastic bag and tie it, and then just add the scraps to it each time. And then when it's time to make some chicken stock or some veggie stock, now you have all these frozen scraps. You put it in a pot, boil it, good to go. So yeah, scrap bowl. I'm gonna teach you how to cut an onion the way Gordon Ramsay taught me how to cut an onion. Flat, cut off the base this way.
I guess you would need to have a very sharp knife.
Right. This way. And again, as I'm doing this, I'm not going all the way to the top. I'm stopping like 3/4 of the way to my root here. All right. This way. And then finally, this way. Look at that. Look at that. All done. Good to go. Good to go. No food processor necessary. Small dice already. I'm gonna do it one more time. There's my timer for my chicken. Just gonna do that technique once more so you guys can see it. Should be all set. With my chicken, but we're gonna double check. When checking your temp of your chicken, you want to put the thermometer in the thickest part of the chicken as a gauge. All right, I'm at 165, looks good. I am gonna quickly, just quickly, put it in the freezer while I finish this onion demo. My pita chips are done. I'm gonna do the onion one more time so you guys can see. You can cut off this bottom bit. You take off your skin, put it in your scrap bowl so you have some for your stock or your compost or what have you. You have like a community garden or something, they love veggie scraps and compost and stuff like that. So you go this way. As LT mentioned, you want to make sure that your knife is sharp. And then you go this way. Again, about 3/4 of the way up, not all the way to the top. And then you come this way. And you are all small diced and ready to go. All right.
So what would be the best knives to recommend for as a chef?
It really depends. Knives are like pans, you know, like everybody tells you that their knife is the best knife. But one thing I will say is I would rather people spend the time on teaching themselves about keeping their knives sharp as opposed to spending a lot of money on an expensive knife. And that comes from like honing your knife, which is with a steel, which is this. And it also comes from sharpening your knife manually with a stone. But the steel, if you use the steel regularly, you can keep your knife sharp for a while. But I'm not brand loyal at all. And to the brands that I like are expensive. So I'm not gonna recommend that people go out and spend $100 on a knife. I would rather you find a good set and keep it sharp. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So where am I? I called for dill in the recipe, but I'm using chives today. I'm gonna add those in last, but I'm gonna chop them up now.
What's a good low cost knife set?
A good low cost knife set. I've seen some decent chef made knives. I think that's the name of the brand, Chef Made.
Okay.
And they're not bad. They're not the best knives, but they'll like get the job done. I was recently gifted this. I think my friend bought it for me off of Amazon, but like it's a good set because it has everything you need. Like the basics that you're looking for in a knife set is a chef knife, a bread knife, and a paring knife, which actually isn't even right here because I use it so often. But a paring knife is like it's similar to this. This is a utility knife, but the paring knife is a little bit smaller, and it's good for like small tasks, peeling things. But that's the basic set. You want a chef knife, a bread knife, and a paring knife. So my chef knife that I know and love is this. It's a Japanese blade. It's called a Shun, S-H-U-N. But chef made is you probably can get a good, not too expensive, but quality. And again, chef knife, paring knife, and bread knife are what we're going for. So
Okay,
I'm going to cut this chicken up. This is the thick one, so we go in half. Like so. And then we're going larger cubes.
I have another question.
Yes.
So for people who don't cook a lot and they trying to look for an easy way out, can we cheat and buy a rotisserie chicken?
You sure can. You can buy a rotisserie chicken, put it up and do the same thing.
That's a good question. That was good. Oh, that's right.
You can cut that rotisserie chicken up and then still take this Cajun seasoning blend that I gave you and put the Cajun seasoning blend on top of it. You know what I mean? To kind of still give it some love so you're not dealing with however they decided to season it.
Kind of scared me a little bit about the temperature of the chicken. Now I'm afraid.
Oh no! You cut into it and it's still looking pink, obviously, you know, but 15, 20 minutes. 20 minutes is like usually what it takes to get chicken cooked all the way through. We did about a 3-minute sear on one side, a 3-minute sear on the other, so that's 6, and I set a timer for 12, so that was right at 20, and I only needed like a few minutes more, so like 23 minutes for the chicken breast that I had. Obviously, depends on size and all those things, but so I have my chicken, my onion, my celery, my apples, my lemon zest. I'm going to mix all of that with my.
Another question. I'm full of questions. You recommend? Okay. Do you recommend splitting like the breast long ways to lower the cooking time, or to ensure that it's cooked all the way through? Or
I'm okay with that. You can do that to make sure that it's cooked all the way through. Yes, that's fine. If
or
you
beat it with the?
want to like butterfly it, that's fine.
Yeah.
Make it thinner.
What about beating it with a mallet?
You could do that too. I would probably recommend cutting it over beating it, because if you beat it, it'll get really thin. And you can go for shredded chicken, but that's not what this recipe is so much for. It's more for cubes. That's why we cut the apples the size that we did, etc. But if you want to tweak it, you definitely can. So yeah. Where's my spoon? I want to mix this. You guys too much longer. All right. So I'm gonna mix. And my honey mustard, about a half a cup.
So Brenda, you or Sarita gonna try this. Which one?
I might try it for real. It looks good.
Together, looking good. I'm gonna add in my herbs now. I'm gonna add in a little bit of lemon juice. I'm gonna taste it and see if I like the seasonings, if it needs anything. Feeling pretty good to me. This chicken salad can be eaten with these pita chips. It can be put in a wrap. It can be put on top of mixed greens and eaten as a salad. Yeah, you put it in a sandwich, you can do a lot with it. So I love this recipe because you can do the Cajun chicken salad, but you can also, you know, do a different seasoning or different veggies. This is a very forgiving recipe. It can still be fun and delicious, and you can very much so make it your own at the same time. So I'm gonna.
Could you explain how to use chickpeas if they don't want to do chicken?
Absolutely. So you would obviously not be cooking the way that we did. The chickpeas, using canned chickpeas is fine. Just make sure you rinse them off and kind of take, you know, that outside white film off of them. And season, just prep all of the veggies the way you normally would, and then add your chickpea. I would rinse the chickpeas, take the film off, and then use the Cajun seasoning on them separately. Prep your veggies the way we did, and then add your seasoned chickpeas in with the chicken. And it's still very delicious. I've even done a chicken and chickpea salad before, and that's like super hearty, and yeah, so highly recommend it for sure. If you're going the vegan route, you want something a little lighter.
So do we have any questions? Any more questions?
Have you ever used like walnuts in it?
I have done nuts in it before. Walnuts or cashews, I think will be really good in chicken salad.
Never thought about cashews.
Roast, I would recommend like roasting the cashews a little bit. You can roast it in the saute pan, or you can roast them actually in the oven, just so they can kind of, some of those oils will come out and you get a richer flavor. Yeah, I would definitely recommend that.
Okay. Well, before we actually end, I'm going to do a name poll of who's winning the class for tomorrow from Chef JB. He's doing a, what's the dish you're preparing tomorrow?
Tomorrow we are making a vegan pot pie.
Vegan pot pie. And so I got numbers associated with names here. So I'm going to see. In actuality, the winner is my auntie in Orlando.
Yay!
You have one. So I think I got your email address. So I'm going to be forwarding you some information. I'm going to forward your information to Jabari so he can email you the classes at 6. And he can email you what you'll need and all of that. So, congratulations.
Thank you.
Hopefully I'll see you tomorrow.
Congratulations.
So, Jabari, do you have anything to say, add? This has been fun to me.
No, thank you guys so much for having me. I had a great time. Hopefully you learned some things and you can use a little bit of what you learned to make your own decisions. I encourage all of the youth to follow their passion, and to the extent that you are interested in anything, chase it. And when I say chase it, I don't mean blindly just decide that I want to go do something. I mean, okay, cool. This is the decision. It's time to start doing research. Who do I know who is already doing these things? Who does my mom know, or do my friends know, etc., who might be in this space? And see if you can shadow them, see if you can talk to them about what their process was like, so you can try to do some of the same things they did to prepare, or they can warn you about some mistakes that they made so you don't have to. There are so many people doing the things already that you're interested in. So utilize your resources, ask questions, talk to folks, and chase everything you want full throttle. Everything that you want is already yours. So that's it. That's my piece.
Okay. Thank you so much. Does anybody want to add before we end today?
Learned a lot. This is Sarita. About the knife set and about the cooking oil. I'll definitely be using those tips. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Awesome. You're welcome. I'm glad to hear it.
And Jabari, you want to share your website?
Absolutely. JB is the name of the brand and business. Eatwithjb.com is the website. And if you did cook along with me and want to post at all, Cook with JB is the hashtag I encourage. So yes, this is all my info right here. Eatwithjb.com, eatwithjb on Instagram. Follow me to stay updated on the classes that I'm teaching on a pretty consistent basis. Yeah.
Okay. I see Mr. Nelson jumped on. Hi, Nelson.
Hey, Auntie, how are you? I was on. I was just listening in. You know, I can't cook, so I was just jealous. But I would love to be able to do something like that at home.
Okay. Well, I'm going to post this on YouTube within the next hour. If you friend Jabari, or I share his information as well on Facebook. He has vast number of classes. He's doing one tomorrow. He is $30 for a class and $50 for both classes. He does those twice a month that I'm aware of. I'm waiting to do a class of something that I would be interested in cooking. I'm trying to get more into veggies, and y'all know I don't do veggies unless it well, y'all know. But but thank you so much, Jabari. And,
Absolutely. No problem. You are very welcome. Thank y'all for having me.
Thank y'all. Aunt Pauline, I will be contacting you shortly. I got your email. I'm going to forward it to Jabari. He's going to send you and all that stuff. So thank y'all so much.
Okay, thanks.
See y'all next time. Tell you enjoy that salad. I wish I was up there. All right.
Bye.